Hi everybody, so in this video about the ROG Ally, I want to talk about the good and the bad with this device. And I think it's very important when doing these comparison videos that just bear in mind the fact that, I do own a Steam Deck OLED as well. So playing both machines, kind of a Linux Steam OS based machine, which the Steam Deck is, and a Windows based machine like the ROG Ally, it does give me, I think, a good perspective on these things and the pluses and minuses of it. Also remember, in this video, this is the ROG Ally non-extreme version, which I don't think you can get in the UK at the moment. You can still get in the States. So generally, to get the better performance out of this, instead of running it at 1080p, I run this at 720p. And if you bear in mind that the Steam Deck is 800p, but the ROG Ally has a slightly smaller screen, it's kind of the equivalent of it that way. So anyway, let's get started with the bad first. And the bad, really, the first thing is common to both devices and any of these gaming handheld PCs, is the fact that they're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And what I mean by that is that when you're trying to play State of Decay 2 or Fallout 76 or DayZ or Armour, they're designed to work on PCs, which means computers with large screens and mouse and keyboard. Now, I know most games have good controller support now for the thumbsticks, but there's no doubt things like the size of text on the screen or having to move around the cursor, whether it be with a thumbstick or whether it be on a touchpad on the Steam Deck, they're not designed for that. Now, devices do have ways of zooming in so you can see small text, and obviously you can turn up the size of text. But if you think that, for example, my gaming PC upstairs is, I have a 27-inch monitor for playing games on, and this is 7 point something, and I think the Steam Deck is 8-inch. So there is a compromise there as well. So next on to ROG Ally specifics. The battery life on the extreme and the non-extreme version of the ROG Ally leave a little bit to be desired compared to something like the Steam Deck. This is kind of a Windows thing. You're going to get an hour and a half max out of this, so you're going to have to take a battery with you or have access to power, so that can be a bit of a pain. The new ROG Ally, which I forget the name of, but the new one that's black, has a battery that's twice as big. So Asus have kind of spotted the problem and they've brute forced it by including a massive battery. Speaking of Windows is both the ROG Ally's strength and its weakness. So you get Windows Update, so you'll go to turn it on, and just like your laptop or your gaming PC, Windows will decide it needs to do a critical update, and it must do it right there and then, and you can't do anything else. Whereas with the Steam Deck, it'll be like, no, so you can do it later if you want. You don't have to do it right now in most cases. With Windows, a lot of the time, you go to turn it on, and you'll be like, oh, why isn't it turning it on properly? And then it says installing update, and you're like, oh, okay, great. And you get a lot of Windows junk as well. Hopefully fairly soon we'll see a version of Windows, this is Windows 11, that is specifically catered for mobile gaming devices, that will have a lot of all the extra crap stripped out, because this is a Windows 11 machine, that just happens to have a gamepad sort of stuck to the outside of it. So there's lots of things in here that we just don't need. And there are programs that you can install that de-bloat Windows 11 and take a lot of the stuff out. But if we could have a version of Windows 11 like that to start off with, that prioritise performance in the way that the Steam OS can on the Steam Deck for games, then that would be a big bonus. Can't talk about the ROG Ally without talking about the SD card slot on the top. This has led to problems. Now, I understand that Asus have said that the reason for the problems with the Micr-SD card slot, where it eats SD cards and makes them go faulty, and maybe the SD card slot stops working, is they were using a couple of different motherboard manufacturers or readers manufacturers for that device, and one of them just didn't react to heat properly. And I've had the same experience. So I had a SD card in here. I think it was a 512 gigabyte one, so not a really expensive one, but it was a few quid, and it just stopped working. Now, did it stop working because it was a bad SD card, or did it stop working because it overheated? I don't know, but I'm not going to risk putting another Micr-SD card in here just in case it does decide to destroy another one. So that's a bit of a pain. The Steam Deck, which you can see over there. It has its SD card slot on the bottom, so it doesn't have that problem with heat rising through the case and coming out the top and making the SD card too hot. And the new ROG Ally, the one with the black case, now has the SD card slot on the bottom, so maybe that kind of tells you the reason. The thumbsticks on the ROG Ally, they feel cheap. They don't feel as nice as the ones on a Steam Deck or as the ones on your PlayStation or your Xbox controller. They feel a little bit loose. You've got to be quite careful with, say, when you're moving around, say with a driving game, that you don't, it's very easy to move them too far because they need to have a little bit more resistance, I feel. And one of the most common problems with the ROG Ally is, if you look it up online, is problems with the thumbsticks breaking as well. So make sure, if you are going to be taking this somewhere, that you've got a nice case that protects the thumbsticks. The lack of extra buttons. The Steam Deck has 4 on the back and it has an extra 2 on the front. Well, I guess the Ally does have 2 extra there, but these bring up sort of ROG Ally specific menus. So you have kind of the command center there, and then on the right one you have the Armory Crate software. And we do have 2 buttons on the back here, but they're not as simple to use in terms of assigning them to other functions as they are on the Steam Deck. Generally, you use this one on the left as a shortcut key with the D-pad to bring up things like the keyboard and bring up and bring up like Task Manager, kind of like that. And I would have liked to see 4 buttons on the back as well. No touchpads as well. So the Steam Deck has the touchpad. You have to, when you want to go in between sort of being able to use a mouse, you have to go into Command Center, change it to gamepad mode, and then you get access to that. But I think what we're really seeing here with a lot of these stuff, and with the differences that Asus have made with the black version, is the fact that this is Mark 1. This is version 1. It's arguable that the Steam Deck OLED is version 3 of the Steam Deck, so they've had a couple of iterations at least to work through. And with the new ROG Ally that's coming out, the one with the black case, it has different thumbsticks, it has a better D-pad, it has different fans, it has the SD card slot on the bottom, it has a battery that is twice as big as this one. So they're kind of addressing all of those problems as you would expect they would with version 2 and version 3 of something. And so that's the price you pay. There is a saying that says you should never buy version 1 of anything. You should always wait at least till version 3, because that gives the manufacturer a chance to learn and sort out some problems. So that's the thing. So let's go on to the good. So the good with the ROG Ally is this amazing screen. This is a variable refresh rate screen, which means that it matches the refresh rate to what the game is kicking out, which means for you as a person who's playing a game is that games look much, much smoother, even at low frame rates. So say if a game's going on at like 24 frames a second, that'll look really framey or juttery on the Steam Deck. On the Asus, it can look buttery smooth, and it makes a massive difference. I wish the Steam Deck had a VRR screen. It really is very, very special indeed. And you also get, I guess because Asus maybe work closely with AMD, you also get things like AMD's fluid motion frame technology, I think RSR as well. So there's lots of little things you can do within the Armory Crate and the Command Center to make games look better and run better, and I found that really, really good as well. Now, being the non-extreme version, you can pick this up in America. It depends when you watch this video. When it's on offer at Best Buy, you can pick it up for $300, which I think is a bit of a bargain. I would always say if you're going to buy a ROG Ally Z1 or a Z1 non-extreme, you must buy it where you get a guarantee with it. And in America, if you buy a new Z1, you do get a 2-year guarantee with it now, I think. Not in Europe, which is a bit of a pain, because they've had the problems, with the SD card, and they've had the problems, with thumbsticks. And in general, ROG have had a problem with their returns RMA process, and you can watch like Gamers Nexus. They've done lots of videos about that and how Asus are now trying to improve that. The non-extreme version and the new version, the super new version with the bigger battery and the black case, they're expensive machines. You know, they're at least as expensive or more expensive than a Steam Deck. So what you've then got to decide over, you know, the biggest plus of something like the ROG Ally is the fact that it runs on Windows. You may say, well, wasn't that one of the bad things? It is, but the beauty of having a Windows machine is this will run everything that your gaming laptop or your gaming PC will run in terms of you can install it. How well it will run is another thing. So as you can see here, we've got Steam, the Steam client. We've got Xbox app for Xbox Game Pass, GOG Galaxy, Epic Games Launcher, Rockstar Games Launcher. They work. It will run Call of Duty with the Battle.net launcher. It will run Fortnite with their launcher. And you have ultimate compatibility because it is a Windows machine, which is what you need. You know, so if you simply must play Assetto Corsa, you simply must get something like the ROG Ally because it just doesn't run on a Steam Deck. So there we go. They're the big goods and bads about the ROG Ally. I think compatibility is the big thing. The fact that I can just pick this up and I can have any of these launchers and I can launch into them. And I think what's going to be very interesting over the next year or two is when we get to version 3 of this, and obviously the next iterations of the Steam Deck, we're going to start to see some very exciting things. And the more competition there is, the better as well. So there we go. If you have anything to add, put them in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more, press subscribe. And of course, I'll see you again soon.